What up, though? What up, though? So I'm leaving Belle Isle for a hot second, and man, and don't get me wrong, they got it looking nice, look clean, beautiful, beautiful. But when I tell you, I just don't see a lot of us down there no more. You know, and it's because we messed it up. You know, we owned our own water. Did y'all know that? We had our own trash service, City of Detroit, picking up the trash. We don't own that no more. They outsourced that to Waste Management. We own Belle Isle. We had to lease that out to the state for 50 years. You know, so I guess technically we still own it, but we're leasing it out. It's just, and I'm kind of pissed that, you know, us as a people, you know, the city owned it. The city that's majority black. The city that in the whole United States is the largest black population city in the United States. People don't, I mean, I hope y'all know that, you know. And I ain't trying to educate y'all or whatever, but it's just sad when I go down here. You know, yes, I understand that gentrification is real, but we messed it up. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it a buck, as the young kids say. Let's keep it a buck. You know, we messed that up. You know, you always want to connive and steal and try to get over. You know, just like the guy with the that was running the Riverfront Conservatory. You know, like how much you stealing $40-50 million? You don't think at one point how much is enough? He just like, hey, I got something going. I'm gonna keep it going. You know, now your dumb self got to do all this time in jail just because. I mean, when do you stop and say, hey, you know what? I got him for 10 mil. Let me go ahead and stop. Let me, you know. Nah, I got to go. I got to get 40, 50. What? You was trying, I mean, when was you going to ever stop? You know, I mean, they stole so much. It was like, then, don't let me get started on the Board of Education. They stole so much money coming out of there. That's why all those schools was getting closed and demolished. You know, you had Redford, Cooley, just to name a few. You know, it was so much corruption going on in that. You know, that the state had to come in and take over. You know, just looking at it, and so you can't even be mad that they came in and took over, because what else was they gonna do? You was gonna let it just fall to the ground? Because you was gonna steal until it was just crumbled, and that's when the bankruptcy happened. Like, how much stealing that you gonna do? Like, golly, man, it's just crazy. So, you know, do I like how downtown is right now? Yes. You know, I absolutely love it because, you know, when I was growing up, it didn't look like this. It didn't look like this at all. You know, so it's beautiful, you know, but I just feel like we could have had it like this as well. You know, just stop all that stealing and corruption. You know, so it's something to think about going forward with the mayor. And I wouldn't even, when I started out this, I was just thinking about Belle Isle and just seeing how we not represented down there anymore. You know, on a day like this, when it's about to be 90, 95 degrees, we will be down there. You know, but now, you know, we on the outskirts. You know, we at Rouge, we at Chandler, which, don't get me wrong, nice parts and all, but just seeing, you know, playing golf over there by the water, you know, we know where to be seen. You know, or the picnic areas we're not down there. We're not down there. And it's a sad, eerie feeling that it probably ain't gonna never be the same like it was when basically we ran the aisle. It was that was the cool hangout spot, to go to on a hot day like this, or the beach area and stuff like that. And then you got the other side of the coin that they complain so much. The water's dirty. I wouldn't get in that water anyway. And now you couldn't even, you want to get in it, now you can't, because you're not even down there anymore. So I just feel like it's the city is definitely on its way back. But just looking back at the last 20 years, just 20 years, just a lot of corruption, a lot of stealing, a lot of just horrible management, and the people that was in charge. So my question is this: is okay, you didn't have any corruption in the last. Well, let me stop, because people are gonna say, oh nah, Mike Duggan, he had corruption, he did this, he did that, right? So I don't want to say he ain't had no corruption. He probably did. And as far as, I think he had some stuff with the dirt, and especially those grants that was given to the city, residents. They turned them into loans. That was huge on Duggan part. That was an epic fail, to do that. Then you had the property tax scandal. I have to go do my research on that. Was he actually in office, or did he inherit that? But anyhow, the question is, who are you going to entrust? Because we went through some stuff, where people was stealing, from the Board of Education, to the city government, just stealing. Who are you going to put your trust into, that is going to run it where it can just go to that next level? Because right now, we on that stage of coming out of all that. Now we need to get to the next stage of the city, and hope we can curb some of this violence, and get some get back into the schools, the skilled trades, so young people can have something to look forward to, when they get older, or when they're coming out of high school, is they can have a trade instead of, on the block and robbing and stealing and trying to get what the next man, woman got. Who do you entrust your vote with? Is it Mary Sheffield? She been in the line. She been the city council president last, I want to say 3 or 4 years. She has done, as far as her community and her section. I think she has done well. I haven't heard a bad thing about her. But also, you got to think: is Detroit ready for a female mayor? We never had a female mayor before. Are you going to go with Pastor Kinlock? He has a strong following in the city. I always heard great things about him. Haven't heard any kind of scandal coming out of his congregation or anything, or his church, I should say. So, then you have Chantel Jenkins. She's a very strong black woman. She tell her how it is. Do you go back to something like a Comine Young? She reminded me of that in a way. Or and this is no knock on her, because Comine Young was my dog. I like the fact that he was like, hey, keep that stuff across 8 Mile. Don't bring that stuff over here. That racism and all that kind of stuff. So, do you Chief Craig? I think he was doing He was excellent when he was the police chief. I don't think he's and I'm sorry to get into the whole Democrat and Republican thing. I think he's a Republican. Do you identify with someone like that? But when he was chief, I think the crime had deterred a little bit, but it definitely needs some work. yeah, so I mean, you got a lot of choices. I mean, you got a lot of to for the next mayor. It's something to think about. You know, if you even if you're not into politics, which I think everybody has learned that we should get into politics in some kind of shape or form because of what's going on with our, with our president. I mean, you got to understand what's going on in the world. So it's a lot of choices. I think it's one of the most critical decisions that the city has had in a long time. Are we going to, because this can be, I want to say, it could be a make or break. It's like, do you keep moving forward and making progress? But at the end of the day, I want to say this last thing. We got to get back to the neighborhoods. This can't be just everything is downtown. We have heard that, for years. And look, when I go down there, it is a different feeling, and it's a good feeling. I love it. Do you feel safer? Yes. But we got to get back to the neighborhoods. Growing up, I used to see 12, riding the block. I don't see that no more. You don't see a patrol car coming down your block. Or on foot or on horses and stuff like that. Would that deter some people from doing crime? I think so. But also we just gotta have these open conversations. Why so much crime is happening? I know it's like a dog-eat-dog world and the have and have-nots and stuff like that, but we gotta learn in the black community. This is very important to how to conflict resolution. Everything is not. If you hit me, I hit you back, and I go get a gun and I kill you and all that kind of stuff. Like, we gotta learn how to have conflict resolution, especially black men. Talk to your brother. You ain't gotta go blow his head off and or do some bodily harm and do all that stuff. One wrong decision can cost you your life. And but also you gotta have something to live for. A lot of people don't have nothing to live for, so it's like, I don't have nothing to live for anyway. So it's a big turning point for the city. I like where we headed. I'm invested here in the city. Born and raised. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. I'm telling you. And I've been to different cities and I've been to different pockets and stuff like that. But it's nothing like Detroit. It's home. And it is what it is. You can talk bad about it all you want, but and that's another thing that we got to get away from. Stop agreeing with the masses. Like, when they frown at you and, I don't know how y'all live there. Look, you live where you at and I live where I'm at. But yeah, big decision with mayor coming up. Don't let them run you from downtown. Young and old, get out, enjoy it. Don't let this gentrification that is happening, that is real, take over. Still enjoy the amenities of Belle Isle. Go down to the DIA and African American History Museum and just enjoy what we got and stop complaining so dang on much. All right, I done talked y'all ear off. Peace out. Have a good one. Hello.